Hello everyone, I'm Mehdi from beadwork channel, and today we want to turn this simple shawl model to this in easy and fast mode. Okay, so be with me to do that, and before jumping to the video itself, let me introduce you the brand new course that we released for Substance Painter. Learning Substance Painter is easier than ever. Hey all substance lovers, texture seekers, and awesome future artists. Welcome to Ultimate Course for Learning Substance Painter from zero to hero. Ready to learn how to texture with different projects? Substance Master released a brand new course for those who want to learn to texture with Substance Painter. In this course, we cover from preparing the model to rendering different projects, different challenges. If you want to level up your skill in texturing, come and check the Substance Master Ultimate course for learning Substance Painter. In this tutorial, I used 3 different resources from our library. The first one is the base mesh from our base mesh collection that we work on it in this tutorial. And the second, the third one, they are the special tool for Substance Painter that you can use to speed up your workflow. Okay, now it's time to start the process. For the first step, we need to create 2 folders, and I'm going to call it first fabric and second fabric. Okay, so let's add the mask for each of them. Okay, now it's time to start the texturing process. So for the first fabric, I mean the inner side, I'm going to pick the orange color, okay, like this, and the roughness should be on 0.5. Okay, and now I can create 2 color variation, color number 1 and the color number 2, and we just need to have color. Okay, the first one is like curvature. Okay, and I'm going to change the blending mode to soft light and put it on white value. Okay, like this. And we can decrease the opacity to 60. And for the second one, let's give the same color but a little darker. So we can go here, add a black mask, add fill, and choose something like close fold large. Okay, go to the mask, increase styling to something like 6. And yeah, we have the second color variation here. Okay, so this is the color channel that we are going to have here. And the next one is edge border. So in here, I just go to the black mask and use UV seam or UV border distance. Okay, and let's decrease the balance. Okay, like this. Okay, and let's add a filter, gradient curve, and put the preset on round. Okay, and I'm going to add an anchor point here because we are going to use this edge border a lot. Okay, so for the edge border, we can keep height and color. Let's increase height. Okay, as you can see, we have the height effect here. And for the color, let's go for the white. And I'm going to put it to soft light. Okay, so yeah, this is the effect. And now it's time to add the pattern of the fabric. So for this purpose, I'm going to use the fabric pattern generator that we have. And in here, number 15 is a good option. So let's add this to the layer, and I just need only height channel and normal at the same time. Okay, so let's go to advanced parameters, and for the normal format we should match this option to the normal format that we have on the project. So in here we need to change it to DirectX, and 10 is so much intense here. So let's pick 2. That's okay. And for height range, I think we can go for 0.4. Okay, now we have a good effect here for the fabric, but we need to increase styling to 4. And yeah, we have this, and I need to add a black mask here and just add fill, increase grayscale to 1. So now we have a white value, and again add fill, load anchor point, edge border mask here, and just subtract it. Okay, that's okay, and we can play with the level to have a clean cut on the surface. Okay, that's perfect. So, yeah. Now it's time to go to the texture set setting and add AO or ambient channel here. Okay, and now with enabling AO in this tool, we can see we have AO here. Okay, and we can control it with AO depth. Okay, let's choose this amount. And yeah, it's so much better. Okay, we are done for the first fabric. Okay, now it's time to focus on second fabric, and for the first layer, let's call it base material, and I'm going to choose a dark color, and for the roughness, let's use 0.6, and that's enough for the base material, and let's go for the next layer. In here, I'm going to edge border layer, and I can recall the anchor point that I have on the first fabric, edge border mask. Okay, so now we have this, and we can control this layer with this level. Okay, so that's it. We have the border here, and now it's time to the second border layer. For this layer, let's add a black mask, add fill, and just turn off UV wrap. Okay, let's go to the UV view or 2D view here, and I'm going to unlock this lock here and just put 1 and 30 here. Okay, so this is the area that I need for my work. That's great, and I just match it with the border that we had. Okay, that's great. And now we can change the size here to something like this. Okay, so let's duplicate it, and I'm going to change the blending mode to linear dodge. That's great. And yeah, this is fine. And I'm going to add filter and just use blur. Okay, with this amount, 0.2. And let's add another filter and choose gradient curve round. Okay, so it's okay, but we need to subtract this border from this mask. Okay, because we don't see this mask here. Okay, so let's add fill. Okay, and put it here. And just load the edge border mask. and just change the blending mode to subtract. And we need to control this mask with this level that we have in the grayscale area. Okay, so we have the border that we want here. Okay, that's great. So yeah, it's okay. And I can decrease the blur intensity. So yeah, it's good. Now for the edge border, we need to have height and color and roughness at the same time. So for the height, let's go for something like 0.2 or maybe 0.1. And for the border, we need the same amount but a little less, something like 0.08. Yeah, and now we can see the difference here. So for this border, I need color, height, and roughness again. Okay, that's great. We have the border and border line. And now it's time to the fabric pattern itself. But let's turn off the color that we have in the border line. We need the same black color here. That's great. And now it's time to add the fabric pattern. Okay, so I'm going to use number 14 and number 16. Okay, that's great. So we need to have just height and normal and AO. Height, normal, and AO. Okay, so for the first one, I mean the 14, we are going to put this pattern on the border line. Okay, so for the border line, let's add anchor point and just add black mask and add fill, load the anchor point that we create right now. And as you can see, we have the pattern here. Okay, let's go to the pattern. And I'm going to change tiling to 12, for example. Yeah, that's great. And now it's time to focus on height, normal, and ambient occlusion parameters. Okay, let's change the normal format to DirectX and put the normal intensity to something like 2 or maybe less. And for the height range, let's go for this amount. Yeah. And for the AO, we can recall the same amount. Okay. Okay, that's great. Now we have the fabric pattern on the border line. And let's increase the size of the document so we can see what's happening exactly here. Okay, that's great. And now we can add a sublayer and just in height, search about the crease. Okay, we need just height and increase styling to something like 10 to have these wrinkles here. Let's go to the height layers and decrease this amount. But as you can see, yeah, we have these wrinkles. And maybe we can play with the seed or even increase styling to have more. Okay, it's too much. Maybe 15 is better. And we can decrease the tiling. Yeah, this is good. Okay, and now let's go for the second pattern, but we have some roughness here. Let's go to the border, and yeah, we have the roughness here. We can change it to 0.5, and now it's better. It's so much better. Okay, let's go for the number 16, and in here, I'm going to give the same amount to AO and height range and normal intensity. change the normal format to DirectX, and increase tiling to 10 for now. Okay, that's great. And we can change rotation to 90. Okay, that's great, but we don't want to see this pattern on the edge border and the edge borderline. Okay, so let's add black mask. Just add fill, put it on pure white. Okay, let's add fill and load these two anchor point and change the blending mode to subtract. Okay, and we can control the mask with this slider, and as you can see we have the clean cut here, and yeah, perfect. Everything is perfect right now. Okay, that's great. So we just create the fabric patterns here and the border here. I'm going to highlight them with the color. Okay, now it's time to add some stitches on this border. Okay, so let's create a folder, and I'm going to call it stitches. And the first one is double stitching. Okay, in the material mode, let's search about top stitching. Okay, that's great. And now we need to go to the 2D window and change the UV wrap to repeat vertically. Okay, and now I can just change the size like this. And for this stitches folder, let's add black mask and just load the anchor point that we had. Okay, border mask. Now we can see, and we can play with this slider to control the mask. Okay, so I don't want to have this effect here, and we just need to have a clean cut. Okay, so that's great. Okay, now it's time to focus on the top stitching layer. So we need just have color, height, and roughness. Okay, and for the top stitching style, we need to go to the category stain, and in here I'm going to use triangle stitch. Okay, that's great. And for the size, maybe we can put the tiling to 100. Okay, now we have the layer here. That's great. Okay, now I add an anchor point here. Go to the fill as a sub layer, and in material mode, just load the anchor point that we create. So with this technique, let's change the UV wrap to none. With this technique, we have the same material. Okay, like this. And we can control it very easy. And if we change anything here, like for example, change it to red, or the color, or even change the stitch type, we are going to see this line is updating. Okay. Okay, now it's time to add another layer here. Let's search about the border, and now we have this material, and I'm going to use the number 20. Okay, and rename it to golden stitches. That's great. Let's change the UV wrap to repeat vertically. Okay, come here, change the size to something like 100 again, or maybe we can go for 95. Put it here, Yeah, that's great. And in this case, I'm going to change the color, roughness, and metallic parameter. For example, for the metallic, let's go for 1. And for the roughness, let's go for 0.5. Okay, we can see it in the material mode. Okay, and for the color, we can increase the value actually, like this. And again, use the same gold here. Okay, so we change the color, we change the roughness and metallic. Now it's time to change the parameter related to height and normal. Okay, for the normal intensity, I think 2 is enough. And for the height range, let's go for lower value. Yeah, maybe this one is better. Yep. Now we have the gold stitches here. That's great. Now I can add anchor point, add fill, load again the gold stitches here, and just reposition in place that I want. Okay, so let's see this part in a fast mode. Okay, now it's time to add the middle stitch here. So let's go to the library. And I'm going to use the number 17 here as a middle. Okay. And let's change the UV wrap to none. Change tiling to something like 50. Okay, and put that here. Okay, that's great. And we need to change the UV wrap to repeat vertically. Okay, that's great. 50 is too much. Maybe yeah, 62 is better. Okay, that's great. And now it's time to change the parameter inside the tool. So let's change the normal intensity to 2, and for the height range, let's use 0.1. Okay, now we have the clear version here. And for the color, the main color here is the blue for the second fabric. So let's change the color number 3 to something like this, blue. Okay, that's great. And now I just need to change roughness to 0.1. Okay, that's fine. Let's add anchor point here. Just add another fill, load the middle stitches, change UV wrap to none. Okay, and now we can set this here. Okay, that's great. We create stitches for the border, and that's enough for now. And now it's time to focus on the middle fabric pattern and add the design to that. Okay, for the design for the middle part, I use Midjourney to create this image. You can use the AI for creating this kind of design, or even you can make it by yourself, or just let someone else do that for you. Okay, so let's import this design to the project. Okay, now we have that here. And now it's time to create a folder, and I'm going to call it fabric design. That's great. Let's add a fill layer. Okay, design. And now it's time to put this in base color. And that's it. And as you can see, we have a long texture. So we need to change tiling to get correct aspect ratio. So I think 3 and 1 is good. Okay, now we can fix the position. Okay, like this. Yeah, I need to see this dragon face here. Okay, that's great. And for the fabric design, let's add black mask, add fill, or even we can use the UV selection, add fill, load border mask, change the blending mode to subtract. Okay, duplicate it, change the anchor point to edge border mask. Okay, and play with the level to have a clean cut. Okay, that's great. That's great. Let's add anchor point to the design, and I'm going to create two different fill layer. First is pop-up, and the second one is pattern. And now it's time to add black mask to pop-up fill layer. Add fill as a sub layer and load the design. Okay, let's go to the mask. Okay, and we need to select some area like this. Depends on the texture that we have. Okay. Yeah. It's good. And now we just need to increase height to something like 0.2. That's great. And let's add a filter like blur. Okay, and put it on 0.2. Add another filter and use gradient curve with round preset. Okay, that's great. Let's add anchor point. Okay. Now we have this pop-up effect here on the pattern. And I'm going to use another tool here, beadwork number 29. Let's increase styling to 60. Okay, we can change the rotation 90-degree. Okay, now we have a very good design here. And maybe we can double this side. Okay, that's great. I don't need to have color, so let's turn off the color. And let's change technical parameter. For example, for height range, we need something like this, 0.05. And for the normal intensity, we can decrease it to 3, for example. Okay, and let's increase metallic to 1. And for the roughness, we can keep it as 0.2. Okay, and curvature amount, yeah, it's not work for us because we turn off the color. Okay, so we have this pattern. Let's add black mask, add fill, and just load the pop-up mask. Okay, so we have this one. That's great. Let's go to the metallic. Yeah, and we can see what we have here. Okay, that's great. So now it's time to handle the conflict that we have with this pattern and the fabric pattern that we add in this layer. Okay, so in the design, we just need to have color. So as you can see, We have brighter area in the fabric. We have pattern, different pattern on the fabric, and that's great. Okay, so let's go here. Okay, and now in this mask, I need to load a fill layer, load pop-up mask, and just subtract this from the mask that we had. Okay, so there is no conflict between these two patterns here right now, and that's great. Okay, let's add anchor point to this pattern. And I'm going to add another layer here, curvature. I just need to have color, add black mask, add generator, add curvature, use macro detail, go here and use this fabric pattern that we have. Okay, change the reference channel to height. That's great. And we can play with the height, curvature, intensity, and etc. Okay, that's great. So let's change the blending mode of the color to soft light and put it on white value like this one. Okay, that's great. We can decrease the opacity to 50. And in here, I need to control the mask. So we need to have this effect only in this area. So let's add anchor point here, go here, add fill, load this mask. Okay, put it here, down to the curvature, change the blending mode of the curvature to multiply. Okay, now we have the good effect here. That's fine. Yeah. And for the end and the final step, I'm going to add another curvature layer. Let's add curvature generator to that. Okay, that's great. We can play with the global balance. We don't need to use any macro details here. And let's just have roughness and color. For the color, we go for the soft light and put it on white. Okay, as you can see, we have this effect. It's like sheen parameter. It's not sheen because it's static, but it's okay to have this in the color. Okay, so let's change the opacity to 60, for example, or we can put it on 40. Let's go and increase the blur amount. Okay, and for the roughness, we can go for the 40. Yeah, that's fine. And this is the final result that we have. And this is the end of the video. Absolutely. Okay, so if you like this video, please hit the like button. Share your mind in the comment section. And if you want to know about the future video, you can turn on the notification ring bell on the channel and be creative